How did you find drag, and how did your experience in drag or as a drag queen compare to your experience as just like a young gay guy in the city?
Well, I became a scare drag. You could hide yourself, you could wash your face, you could get out of the situation, which a drag queen could not. And I didn't do it as identity, I did it as protest. I was very angry, more angry than I thought I was at the time, to do something like that. I don't know why or how I did it, but I did do it. Even in college, I went in scare drag.
To class?
To class, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And did all gay papers.
Wow.
Except mathematics. The 1950s were a devastating era for gay people. I was always gay. I mean, I couldn't tell people. I always knew I was gay. But
did that word, I mean, what did that word mean at the time? I mean,
well, it wasn't used as much as faggot.
Okay.
Queer,
Yeah.
fruit,
Yeah.
fairy, depending on what age you were.
But was it an identity that one could kind of claim for themselves, or was it just
Oh,
sort of
no, it was an identity that was at best hidden.
Okay.
And you really had to be truly brave to be openly gay in the 50s. And yet people were.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it was New York, and gay people, if they didn't have an identity pride, had individual pride. In fact, most of the Stonewall people would not have identified with gayness. Their pride came from that they themselves were gay, and they were proud of themselves. But you see, my mother was an invalid, and my sissiness was forgiven because they just thought I didn't have the opportunity to play ball, or my father around very much, or my mother to help me. So I really became a spy in this world and a temple of testosterone when I was an adolescent. And what I heard, and the hypocrisy, it was an awful era to be gay in. The 60s, by 1969, it was much, much better. There was no identity, yet there was a tremendous sense of sexuality, like Marilyn Monroe and torpedo bras, and an emphasis on sex, but it was hypocritical.
You know, a person living now, I think that's something so interesting and kind of difficult to imagine about history. I think we kind of desexualize history, but from what I've read about the period for work and just to sort of have a sense of my own history, it was a really randy time in New York.
Oh, yes.
And what do you think specifically leading up to 1969, like what in the social climate, political climate then allowed something like Stonewall to break out and happen?
Well, there was in the 60s a sexual revolution. You could almost call it a sexual intifada, you know, the shaking off of this Puritanism. That helped gay people eventually revolt. And we were the last people in the 60s to do so.
Stonewall wasn't in response to straight people. It was sort of in response to brutality, police brutality, but any kind of brutality. And first of all, I don't think this history is taught in any of our schools very well or very often. But furthermore, it always seems to position the LGBT community against straight culture, as if it's trying to be antagonistic for antagonism's own sake, as opposed to just trying to carve out a space of lived acceptance and freedom.
Right, because the multiculturalism of New York, for instance, at the time, I'm not sure now, for instance, the Puerto Ricans had a place for us in their society, not legally. But you could go to a party, and if a drag queen was invited to a party, she was invited to the party, was treated as a party goer with complete respect. And even they would join the camp and the fun. So they had, other cultures had a place for us. American culture was the one that was off, with no place for us at all.